Well, we downsized, we donated, we decluttered, and then we sat in our smaller house and thought, crap, we kind of hate this.
You know, you can watch as many shows as you want to on TV. Turns out smaller isn't always simpler. Not by any means. We really have no regrets on decluttering,
Right.
but we have a lot of regrets on losing space.
Yeah. Well, this is Jim, calm under pressure, ruthless with garage clutter, and still dreaming of wide open spaces.
Yes, I am. And this is Tav. Tav's an expert box packer. She's emotionally attached to all her good china and a champion of big dreams in bigger homes. And together we're Unretired AF.
As you guessed it, today we're talking about downsizing, the good, the bad, and the surprisingly emotional side of downsizing.
Yeah, it really is. We'll share how we did it, try to tell you what we learned, and why living with less doesn't always mean living in less.
Well, let's see. The stuff we let go. I think because we moved into a significantly smaller place from a larger house. And so we let go of big stuff, furniture, but we let go of decor items too. We let go of
outdoor items, garage items.
I mean, we only kept the things that were sentimental to us and the things that were valuable and we didn't want to have to replace, like tools and stuff like that. But we let a lot of stuff go.
Yeah.
To the point of pain where we've had to rebuy some of it.
Right. And honestly, no regrets about any of that.
No.
I mean, it was either that or own a storage facility to keep all our stuff.
Right.
So the things we let go were just stuff.
A lot of it, yes.
It was just stuff. Now, we both were emotionally attached to some stuff, and some of that was hard.
Right.
But most of it was just stuff, and nothing that couldn't be replaced of just the stuff. Of course, the sentimental stuff is hard to replace, but it's just sometimes you gotta just let go.
Right. Well, but you don't always have to. I mean, there's a lot of pressure on people our age to start to downsize, to move into a smaller place and start getting rid of all your crap. And basically, I think it's the kids who are just already trying to make a move on stuff, and so don't let
all in the pretense of, if you're smaller, you'll save money.
It's not true.
That's bullshit.
It's not true. It is not true. So that's the stuff that we let go. Now, the biggest thing is that we miss. It's not the stuff. I mean, I don't think we have huge regrets about the stuff. There's some of the stuff we miss that we have had to replace because we didn't think we would ever need again, and we have needed it again.
Yeah.
But normally, I mean, it's the space.
Right. We both enjoy entertaining.
Yeah.
And it's awful hard to have a dinner party for 15 people in a very small place.
Yeah. No,
so we've missed that. We've missed not having a dedicated office space.
Right.
We've missed just size. And we just didn't fully think it out that living small, it'd be so easier to keep and it's still, you still got to keep it.
Well, and you think about how much time we spent together when we were both working full time outside of the house, and with the big house, that we were never freaking there.
Right.
And then we downsized and we're together all the damn time.
Right.
You got to think about
it wasn't real smart.
Think about that kind of stuff too, because I mean, we definitely miss the space. And like Jim said, we miss entertaining. We used to have parties all the time.
Yeah.
We used to have, because I like to cook and Jim likes to grill and he likes to smoke with the smoker. People like coming to our house, so we never have trouble filling up the house with guests.
Yeah. We had a pool. We had a nice outside area.
Very
we had a
conducive.
fire pit. It was nice to be able to just enjoy the outside.
Yeah.
That's hard to do in a small, tiny house. Very hard to do.
It is. It is.
So I guess the thing we really want to stress is maybe some of the secret is to declutter and figure out if your space is right for you.
Right.
Because if you get rid of a lot of stuff, and by design, not because you have to, then all of a sudden you have more space.
Well, and it's about figuring out what downsizing can look like for you.
Right.
So it's like downsizing doesn't have to mean a tiny house or a condo or tiny furniture. I mean, that's one of the things we saw in all these tiny houses is they all have tiny furniture, which is not made for people like us. We're not tiny people.
Right.
So, but we're going to be.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, so for some people, when they talk about downsizing, it just means downsizing their stuff, decluttering, getting rid of stuff. Because the reality of it is, there is going to come a day when our family is going to be dealing with all of our stuff.
Yeah.
So we want to be considerate of them, and we don't want them to find embarrassing things. I mean, think about it.
Right.
Do you want them to find embarrassing things?
No.
We definitely don't.
No.
So
No.
we want to get rid of some crap that we don't want. That's private. I'm not just talking dirty stuff.
Yeah.
No, I don't mean that, but just private stuff. But for other people, it's going to be a radical change. It's going to be downsizing to a smaller place. They want to go to a condo in Florida, and they're happy with that. Right. It just all depends on you.
But there's one thing that we should stress is there is no one size fits all. And quite frankly, there shouldn't be. We're all different people. We all have different wants and needs. But the key to downsizing, I think you would agree with this, is both the right size of place and the right amount of stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, and you have to be ready.
You have to be ready to do it.
You have to be emotionally ready.
Right.
Because it's a lot to do.
I think we did some of it for the wrong reason, thinking it was going to be so much easier and we'd be able to spend time in other places and travel more and that. But
it'd be freeing. But
it doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't change anything like that.
No.
So
I mean, reflecting on it, the whole concept of downsizing is, I think, just be intentional. Make sure that you're ready emotionally. Make sure you're both ready. You can't push the other person to get rid of stuff or to even move into something smaller and downsize if they're not ready.
Right.
That could be really, that could cause a lot of resentments and a lot of emotional stuff. It's important, just downsize the stuff that weighs you down, but keep the stuff that lifts you up. If you have a home gym that you have a whole room dedicated to, and it's part of your lifestyle, it keeps you healthy and stuff, why would you want to get rid of all that?
Yeah. The biggest thing for us that I can say is we had a nice large kitchen in the larger house. Tab loves to cook and bake. You go into a tiny kitchen and it's just not the same. It's not the same at all.
No.
So if you like to cook, and cooking brings us together. She's so good at it and makes such good things that it's just such a joy to partake and participate in your food. So it's okay to want more space. There's nothing that says you can't have more space. It's okay if you want less space.
We want more space.
We do. And
we're not going to be ashamed of it.
No. And we are looking right now on another place. So you just got to find, what's a good way to put it? You got to find the best vision of your freedom.
Yeah.
But you got to talk about it. One person's vision may not be the other, so there may be some compromises.
Definitely.
And that's something you just really need to work out.
Well, and I think talking about it, I mean, you and I have talked a lot, and our vision of what we want, because now that we downsized, we're not happy downsizing. No. So we're looking to upsize space, we downsized the clutter, so that's going to make it easy when we move.
It will be.
But we've talked about it, and it's evolved too.
It has.
As we've talked about what we really want. And we started out with one thing, and then it's evolved. And now we're talking about, we want acreage. And we never talked about that before, but we both really want that now.
We do.
And we really want to be more remote. We want to be in the country. I mean, I lived in a small town in the Midwest, and then I also lived in the country. I lived in town for most of the time, but I lived in the country for part of the time, and I loved it. I loved living rurally. I don't think you've ever lived.
No,
rurally.
I've always been a city boy, but I've always loved going to people's places that had acreage.
Yeah.
And that had a shop, that had a place to just do whatever you wanted to do at whatever time you wanted to do it.
Exactly.
And
I know, and I want a she shed.
Yeah.
We talked about that. So I want a she shed because I want to do my crafts. And even though I got rid of all my crafts, I had bins and bins of craft supplies, which I get the joy and fun of buying again, which would be super exciting. So we've talked a lot.
We have
hours and hours and hours of.
I think we're on the same page of knowing what we want.
Yeah.
It's just finding it.
Yeah, exactly. So, so that's it. I mean, talk about it together, and you'll figure it out as a couple, or if you're not married, even easier for you. You just got to figure out what you want.
But have a plan.
Yeah.
Have a plan.
Have a plan, exactly.
Yeah. Don't just go into it. Have a plan.
Yeah.
Because if you have a plan, it's real easy to tick off the boxes.
Right.
If you don't, you may find some things that you're like, why did I do this?
Well, it'll save you from making emotional decisions.
Yeah.
If you have non-negotiables.
Right.
And we have some things we want, but we have some non-negotiables. And that's honestly, we've seen some great properties that if we were emotional, we probably would have jumped on them.
Right.
But because they didn't hit certain requirements that we had in our non-negotiables, we had to pass. And I'm glad. So glad.
Yeah, and use the tools that are out there. We found this wonderful house, and it was on like 2 acres, and we were ready to pull the trigger until we looked at Google Earth and found out in the lot next door there was a 24-hour McDonald's.
Can you believe it? It was an awesome house. It had everything we wanted. It had a giant workshop in the back. It had office space with a separate entrance. It was just a perfect place, and it was on a good size piece of land. But then Jim pulled it up on the. I didn't do Google Earth. I did what's the other
Street View.
Street View, in like I think Redfin. I think I was in Redfin or Zillow or one of those. And I said, Jim, there's a McDonald's right next door. I mean, we could throw a rock and break the window at McDonald's if we were sitting on our porch. If we bought that house, and it was a heartbreaker, and that's why it had been sitting there for like 150 days.
Right.
Because
just do some research. Don't make rash decisions.
Yeah.
And
talk
check
about
out the demographics, just everything.
Yeah.
Just everything. The taxes, if there's any HOA requirements. I don't know about you all. I won't live in another HOA. I'm just not going to do that.
No, we're way too way too rebellious to have
the older we get, find out
about freaking weeds.
Right. The older we get, find out how far the closest hospital is.
Right.
For any kind of emergency response, find out how far the fire department is. And
if you have family, if you're moving away, like we're planning on moving away from family, so how close is the closest airport?
Yeah. Which I'll still maintain my business here, so I need an airport within an hour and a half of wherever we're going to live.
Yeah.
So anyway, if you've learned anything so far, is we're not slowing down.
We're not slowing down, and neither should you.
And together we're Unretired AF.
Have you downsized or thought about it? Have you had a meltdown at your storage unit? Tell us your story in the comments. We'd love to hear from you.
Hit subscribe for more honesty, big laughs, and the truth about life after 60.
See you next time.